Hey there, good morning and welcome to the JeepSolid garage. So the shop looks a little bit different right now because we are there. We are ready to start putting some primer on this. First thing we got to do though is tape off everything we don't want to get paint on. Let's go over some of the supplies we're going to need real quick. And here's my box of goodies. We've got strainers to strain our paints. We've got our mixing sticks, masking tape, our bucket to properly mix the ratio of our hardener to our primer. We've got some good masking film. You can't use just any plastic. Get yourself some good masking film. If you use the wrong kind of plastic, what'll happen is little bits of paint will flake off the plastic and get down onto your paint and stick to it. You don't want that happening. And of course, some lacquer thinner to clean everything up when we're done. And of course the shop looks different right now. I've got it all set up as a nice little paint booth. Be sure to check out that other video where I talk about how I set this up as a paint booth, what I was thinking with the intake and exhaust, what I'm doing about fumes and overspray and dust getting everywhere. Check that video out, it'll be linked below. So this is my 1992 Jeep Wrangler YJ. This has been my project Jeep that I'm restoring. Be sure to subscribe to follow along. We've done a lot of work to this already, but we've got a long ways to go. So be sure to subscribe to kind of see how this project goes. I've got it all sanded down nicely. Some spots of bare metal, some spots with a little bit of paint left on, but it's all feathered out nicely so you can't feel any edges. So I think this will work out fine for us to start putting some primer on. The bodywork isn't perfect, but I'm not going for a perfect job. I just honestly want it better than it was before. Like I can feel across here, this is a little warbly, but hey, that's okay, it'll be better than before. Previously, I had sanded everything with a 80 grit, and then I went over it again with the 150. So now that everything is sanded with the 150, we are ready to start putting some primer on it. But first, we got to mask off, drape everything. We don't want to get paint on, so let's get to it. So hold up, actually, I wanted to mention a few other things about painting this project. I've done more than just sand it with 80 and 150 grit. That's where I'm at right now, but I did do some areas of Bondo work. You can check out some of my previous videos where I do a little bit of body work, a little bit of Bondo. Then after everything was sanded, when it was outside, I went ahead and washed everything off with mild soap and detergent before I rolled it into the shop. So everything is clean and dry, no more dust on here. Sanding creates all kinds of dust, so I got that all cleaned up before I rolled it in. Now we can tape everything off. I am going to take this plastic all the way from the front to the back. This should drape over the entire thing. Let's see if I can make this shot here. Most of the way. Alrighty, masking is done. And boy, honestly, that wasn't easy. It took quite a bit of time. Honestly, I spent about a day masking everything off, just paying attention to all those little details. It was not quick, but I wasn't in a hurry. But I think I'm about ready to start painting here. Some last minute cleanup of the shop floor. Alright, I've got my gloves and mask. We're going to hit the Jeep with some degreaser real quick, wax remover. Make sure all the surfaces are nice and clean. Some lint-free rags. Then when that dries, we'll hit everything with a tack cloth and we'll be ready to paint. All right, let's set up the paint gun for the correct pressure. I want this around, with the trigger fully depressed, around 27, 28. Right about there. All right, let's mix some paint. Or actually, primer. Been saying paint the whole time. This is a high build primer, but you guys knew what I meant. So here I'm going to be mixing it at a 4:1 ratio. The air temperature is just right. So to mix the 4:1, I'm going to bring it up to level 3 right here with my primer. And now I'm adding my hardener up to the next number 3 line there. That's mixed 4:1. We got to stir it up real good. Now we're ready to paint. Of course, after it's mixed, you got to be sure to filter it, get out any fine little particles. You don't want any clumps. Now I'm pretty new at painting, so I'm going to start out by practicing on a little bit of cardboard here. Just trying to get the pattern down, the feel of the gun, and then I'm starting on the back side of the hood. This is a good place for a novice painter to start. Just kind of get your technique down, the feel of the gun, how the paint comes out, all that good stuff. Of course, I'm wearing a good mask. You have to have a good respirator on. You don't want to be breathing these fumes. Can cause long-term damage, so be sure to do this all safely. Eye protection and breathing protection. Another thing I'm paying attention to is just the routing of my hose through this whole project. I'm starting out on the hood here because it was an easy place to start, but next I'm going to jump back to those doors back in the corner, and that's the farthest point away so that I don't have to stretch the hose out past other projects, other parts that I've already painted. So here we are hitting the doors, getting all the edges first because they're just a little bit tricky, down on my knees. This wasn't the best position to paint. Getting down real low was kind of a pain, but hey, it worked for the doors. Got it done, and this is just primer. Not super worried about it. I am going to be doing 3 coats of primer. This is just the first coat, so I'm just trying to get the majority of everything right now. Don't forget your hinges and little nuts and bolts. Those are things that often get left behind that people forget to paint. Now onto the main body. So this is exciting stuff here. Right now the nozzle I have in a vertical spray pattern, and I'm doing the first coat here with that vertical spray pattern, trying to just carry that wet edge of the paint all the way down and across, routing my hose around where it needs to be, so a little bit of a hassle. On my second coat, I'm going to change the nozzle position from this horizontal, or from this vertical position to a horizontal, just to give a different pattern so you don't get any striping. Even though this is just primer and it's the first coat, I'm trying to limit any striping because it just makes a paint job look bad. Not sure how important that is with the primer stage, but I do know with the top coat stage it's super important. Alrighty, it's the next day, and I'm really happy with how the primer job came out. It looks just great. Next, I have to hit it with some 320 sandpaper to take out some of the little tiny imperfections. Super hard to see on camera, but that's the next step. So be sure to subscribe to follow along with the restoration. Thanks for watching and have a good day.